The Kansas City Chiefs just got some instant injury updates following their 27-19 victory over the Houston Texans at Arrowhead Stadium. You guys are listening to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the luxury of being joined by my good friend Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, and together we're going to go over the latest injury update coming from Andy Reid in his post-game presser. We just learned a ton of injury news about three big players. Chris Jones strained his calf and will have an MRI scan. Jawaan Taylor strained his knee, and Jack Cochrane has left with an ankle fracture. Or has a left ankle fracture, but he is going to be gone for the rest of the year. So Josh, I kind of want to get your thoughts on these injuries. I know the biggest one is Chris Jones, and when we saw him go down to the field with, him holding that calf, I was kind of like, oh man, the season's over. The entire defense surrounded him. I thought that it was game over, but the Chiefs avoided a catastrophe, and it seems like Chris Jones is going to be okay. But I want to get your thoughts on all three of those guys.
Yeah, so we'll start with the biggest one first, which was Chris Jones. And he obviously, you don't want to lose him. We talked about this in our post-game show. So he's one of those guys that if he goes down, your chances of winning a Super Bowl drop drastically. And I would almost go as far as to say that you have no chance without Chris Jones. He's that important. Obviously, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are the other two, those really important guys that if they go down, man, your chances just drop. So I let out a few F-bombs whenever I saw Chris Jones go down because he's just a guy you cannot afford to lose. But the broadcast did show at the end of the game he was on the sideline mentoring some of his teammates, simulating some pass rush moves. He was in good spirits. So it seemed more like a precautionary thing. This also isn't the first time Chris Jones has had a calf strain. That seems to be a weak point for him is those calf injuries. They seem to creep up on him every once in a while, but usually has not been more than a week or two thing. And luckily the Chiefs are very close to locking up that number one seed so that they can get Chris Jones the rest that he deserves and needs because, this whole team needs it. But Chris Jones, if he's nursing any sort of injury, you would like him to get that rest. Not too concerned about it. Obviously, there was a scare there for a second, but it sounds like Chris Jones is going to be okay, and he was in good spirits on the sideline.
Here's the thing. These are the type of injuries that you see players suffer when you play 3 football games in 10 days. And so Chris Jones leaving this game with that calf strain, I think, like you said, it was more of a precautionary thing. You did see him on the sideline in good spirits, and he kind of looked just fine, but I think that he definitely sustained some sort of a strain, or maybe it was a cramp of some sort. But I'm not worried about the long-term health of Chris Jones. Now, there could be an argument to be made about if he should play on Wednesday, a very short turnaround. If he's got this injury, is it smart to rush him back knowing that, listen, you took care of business against the Texans. You win one more of your remaining 2 games. You clinch the number 1 seed. You get that first-round playoff bye, and you can kind of just rest everybody. But if the Chiefs think it is in our best interest to throw Chris Jones out there again on a short week in 4 days on Christmas, Josh, I don't know how that could go well. Unless that strain is just so minor that they thought, we're going to win this game against Houston. There's no point in keeping him out there this long. Let's just take him out for the rest of this game, which could be very possible. But if it is a serious calf strain, I don't want to see Chris Jones rush back for this game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The value of having Chris Jones is much more than the value of winning that game. If you were to win it, yes, you can lock up the 1 seed, but you have just as good of a chance the next week versus the Denver Broncos. And hopefully, Michael, the Bills drop one tomorrow, and then we don't have to worry about any of that. But that might be wishful thinking. So I think the smartest move would be for Chris Jones to sit out next week. That's just too quick of a turnaround.
Well, and why rush him back? I understand that he is the piece that gets this defense going, and he's the best defensive player on the field, no question. But is it worth it in the 3rd game in 10 days, guys? Is it worth it to risk the health of Chris Jones in the future, knowing that the playoffs are right around the corner, to win this game? Again, what is the point of securing that number 1 seed in the playoff bye if you don't have a fantastic player like Chris Jones playing in the playoffs? You need him to be healthy and as fully healthy as he can get. Now, again, Andy Reid is going to do what he thinks is right. With Patrick Mahomes, it was if he gets cleared by the doctors, he is going to play. But that was also coming off of 6 days. They had a short week technically going from 7 to 6, but now it's a 4-day, rest period. And they're not really resting because it's you turn around tomorrow and practice and get ready for Pittsburgh. So I don't know if on this short of a turnaround, he is going to get the nod. But if Andy Reid and he gets medically cleared, he's going to play.
Yeah, I would still just be real nervous about that, especially with a big guy like Chris Jones. I'd be real nervous about that. But there was another big guy, of course, Michael, that got injured in this game. The next guy you asked me about, and that's Jawaan Taylor. Strained knee. He came out of the game. Now, this is an injury that he's kind of been dealing with quietly. And, he's been on the practice injury report, been a limited participant because of it a few times. And I guess it all just caved in today as far as that injury because he had to come out. And they put in Wanya Morris. But I'll say this, and we talked about this in our postgame show as well. I think I'm okay with Wanya Morris filling in at right tackle as long as he needs to. I know that he struggled at left tackle at times, but he was always more of a natural right tackle coming out of the draft. And with Joe Thuney filling in at left tackle, that actually might be your best tackle combination at this point in the season is Wanya at right and Thuney at left. And Taylor has struggled this year, both performance-wise and with the penalties. So maybe Wanya Morris, the upside there, is intriguing enough that you just roll with him at right tackle and Jawaan Taylor can recover while Wanya Morris is in there.
He's been on the injury report, I want to say the past couple of weeks with that knee injury. And I kind of thought it was out of precautionary measures, just, okay, let's just rest him and not, have him re-aggravate any knee issues before they get worse. This seems to be that knee injury getting re-aggravated, and so that's not a good sign. You mentioned his poor play on the field, all of the penalties, all of the inconsistencies with his blocking, his pass blocking specifically. I feel like Wanya Morris in a pinch could be a very good replacement, a good fill-in, but you're paying Jawaan Taylor a lot of money. And I think if he is good enough to go, he's probably going to go. But again, we're talking about these guys playing on such short notice. They got hurt on Saturday, and you're expecting them to play on Wednesday. And is it realistic for Jawaan Taylor to play on Wednesday against a very good Steelers pass rush? And I think the answer to that is probably no, unless it comes back that he is practicing tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to play. Like, this is a week where if you don't practice every single day in this little off period, I'm not sure if you're going to play.
Yeah, that's just another thing that's going to be affected. The decision is going to be affected by the fact that they play another game in 4 days, which is just ridiculous. But then the last injury, of course, that you asked about, Michael, was that of Jack Cochrane. So he had the worst injury.
Yes, by far.
Yeah, and that sucks to break your leg or fracture. Was it ankle or leg?
I believe it was ankle. Let me go back up and check.
Yeah, let's throw that back up there again. Left ankle fracture. That's a tough one. It's the same sort of injury that Jalen Watson had, and he sustained that all the way back in week 7 versus San Francisco, has yet to return. We haven't heard a peep about his return. So Cochrane's done for the season. But the Chiefs have other guys that can fill in for them on special teams. They still have Cam Jones, who they liked, and there's Swayze Bozeman and Cole Christensen on the practice squad. They can elevate one of those guys if they need to. So luckily, they can probably absorb that injury rather easily, but still sucks to see for him, of course.
It sucks to say, and listen, we are by no means, praising a player's injury, but out of all of the players on that list that could miss the rest of the games this season, he is the best option. Jack Cochrane, he's a great special teamer. He's got a spot on this team. I like Jack Cochrane. He's been a solid replaceable linebacker and a good special teamer. You lose Chris Jones, you lose Jawaan Taylor, you're going to have a massive question mark on if you can actually go out there and three-peat. And so I do think the Chiefs did kind of avoid a massive problem in losing the previous 2 to injury for the season, but prayers up to Jack Cochrane. Hopefully that injury is not something that could derail his career, because he's been a pretty, solid special teamer, over the past couple of seasons. Now, really quickly, guys, before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, the Rice Real Estate Group. At Rice Real Estate Group, they're more than just a real estate team. They're a full-service partner in residential, commercial, and investment properties. They specialize in guiding clients through every stage, from the buying and selling process to handling complex, short sale situations with ease. Their passion lies in the personal one-on-one care they bring to every client relationship, ensuring each experience is tailored, smooth, and successful. Here it's all about building trust, delivering expertise, and ensuring every client feels valued throughout their journey. For more information, call Marla Rice at 816-819-9333. Special shout out to the sponsors that support this channel all football season long. Now, Josh, my final question for you, and it's so hard to predict because the Chiefs do play on Christmas, 4 days from now, as we've mentioned for seemingly the 8th time in this video. I want you to tell me the likelihood that Chris Jones and Jawaan Taylor suit up on Christmas.
I'd put Chris Jones at a coin flip, I think.
Okay, so 50-50?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put Chris Jones at a coin flip because it definitely feels like he was in the best of spirits out of all the guys. I didn't really see Jawaan Taylor, but it feels like Chris Jones is more precautionary. And Jawaan Taylor, I'll say it's about 25% chance. But I think Wanya Morris is good enough that you're not rushing to get him back in there.
Depending on the injury news that we get later on in the week, I think that's going to give a much better indication of if Chris Jones is going to play. You mentioned a coin flip. I think that's probably very accurate. I might even say 60-40 just because this game is so big. And I think I could see Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid saying, listen, we get this one game. Chris, you get a month off, buddy. Just go out there and play for one more game. Go bring it home for us. And you can just sit on your couch and just heal up from that calf strain. But I think that the Chiefs understand how important it is to get that bye week to rest up. And I don't think they're going to lollygag with that. I think they're going to go out there and handle business against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Josh, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. And I think you summarized it pretty well right there.
Well, guys, that's all we have for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel for more daily Chiefs coverage. Josh, I want you to tell everybody where you can find your stuff.
You can find me here on YouTube, Show Me Football. That's the channel name. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, where I write. And then last but not least, you can follow me on Twitter at ShowMeFB.
And all that stuff, guys, will be linked in the description of this video. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.